Hey there, I'm Ben Benversi, the Science Communication Intern with the Urban Ecology Center this summer. And this is Chamong.
Okay, so my name is Chamong Xiong. I'm from Fresno, California. I'm 31 years old, and I pronounce as he and him.
Chamong is studying conservation and environmental science. He just finished his first year at UW Milwaukee, and he's the research science intern this summer at the Urban Ecology Center. So, what's all involved in that?
Dragonfly survey, a lot of bumblebee surveys, snakes, birds.
Chamong also enters data and analyzes the wildlife cameras at the parks, painstakingly going through each frame and cataloging what animals are there. He also takes photos of his own, really impressive photos. He's been lugging his monster camera around with him on our surveys all summer long, and he would always wander off and return with beautiful pictures. My personal favorite was one of a frog eating a dragonfly. Chamong has been a wonderful addition to the UEC this summer, and I wanted to talk to him about his journey here to Milwaukee and the UEC, which has been anything but traditional or direct. And there's beauty in that. At 31, he's a little older than most of the interns, but his winding path of being called back to the land underscores the importance for all of us of reconnecting with that part of ourselves, that animal outside part of what it means to be human. The importance of seeking out that connection, even if it means taking risks and leaping into the unknown to find it. Also, being from California, Chamong has a fresh awareness of this place and doesn't take it for granted like some of us who grew up here. Rather, he approaches this place we call Milwaukee with curiosity and gratitude. Chamong met me down at the Riverside Park branch to talk about his story, and I started by asking him,
what does ecology mean to you, like the term, the concept, and just like practically how does it inform how you look at the world and live your life?
At first, before I got into like wildlife and ecology and all that stuff, you don't really mind much when you go out and walk and run and go to the park. And then after, when I took field biology and I met my professors, and they started to teach me all these, plants, birds, animals, and I start to appreciate wildlife more now. Like every time when I go out, I'm not even on my phone anymore. I'm just like listening and just enjoying wildlife and enjoying all these creation right here. So it makes me appreciate ecology more.
Yeah. So how did you get interested in like conservation and ecology and wildlife stuff? Like, was it just one class that you took that got you hooked, or?
Yeah. So at first I didn't know what to do, Ben. When I decided to go back to school, I worked my whole life.
Okay.
This is kind of like a long story.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. So, way back, I graduated in 2008 in high school.
Okay.
And then I went to Fresno City Community College, and just my friends and I, there was like a lot of us, 50 of us, and
going to Fresno
City, like community college, and everybody just didn't know what to do. So what we did? We just decided to like take class together. Yeah. Like everybody's okay. So what are you majoring in? Oh, I'm majoring in criminology. All right, let's just everybody major in criminology, right?
Okay.
So, and we just didn't pay attention in class. We ditched a lot, and then I think like 2 years later, or like a year and a half later, and then my grades started dropping, and then I got kicked out. I got probation. So, and I worked my whole life, So after that, I worked as a security guard. And
I could see that.
Yeah, I worked as a security guard for my whole life, you could say. And then I was like, man, like I kind of don't want to do security-ish in a way, so I want to kind of do like a wildlife thing. But I didn't have any connection though. So the reason why I love wildlife is because way back then when I was a kid, I always loved wildlife. I always loved animal. My dad will like in the morning, he will like wake up in the morning, and he'll turn on the PBS and turn on and then put the camera right here and then the TV was right there, and then he'll record like animal nature, Zabumafu.
Yes, Zabumafu.
Yeah, Zabumafu, and Reading Rainbows, where they talk about like books of animals, stuff like that, right? So I'm always interested in wildlife and animal, but I was so scared of taking classes because those are hard classes. Like you gotta take like biology and all that stuff, and calculus and all that stuff. So that's why I just decided not to pursue that, and then that's why I follow my friends. So that's what happened. I left that job, and then I went to work at PetSmart.
Almost wildlife.
Almost wildlife. I worked at PetSmart for 2.5 years.
Okay.
And then I was at the fish area. And to be honest with you, Ben, I didn't know what I was talking about when people come up to me. So people are right, like, man, these people don't know. Like, that's true, because I don't know what I was talking about. So all I did was I just packed fish for you, and here you go. Like, so I did that, and then, but it was only part-time, and I just, needed money.
Yeah.
So, of course, I went back to security. So I went back to security, and then I got a security job at the IRS as a armed security guard.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it was decent pay. It was like $18 an hour. And for a single person, like that's a lot of money. Like,
it's enough. It's enough to live.
And during that time, I was still living with my parents.
Right. So you were just saving a lot.
Yeah, just saving a lot. Yeah. And then, but back in my mind, then I was like, I can't really do this forever, like I'm driven to do something else, and what do I want to do, which is wildlife and stuff like that. But I was so scared to go back to school, and I got probation. My probation is still there during that time. Yeah, it stay with you forever until you take classes and all that stuff. So I was like, man, like if I go back to school, is it going to be a waste of time, because this is good money, this is good benefits and stuff like that, but will I sacrifice all that and go back to school? And then I was still debating, and then one day our security, it's a private security, and contract with the IRS.
Yeah, okay.
And the contract was getting close to being expired. So a new security company came in, and there's new training. So the new training, I think, is in Sacramento or up north somewhere, and it takes 4 months, right?
Whoa.
Yeah. And then during that time, I was like, do I want to go to school, or do I want to keep this job? On September 30th at 11:55 a.m. No, the p.m. I worked second shift, and my boss called me. Hey, you have training this coming up Monday. Because I told my boss about schools and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you want to stay with the team, or do you want to go? And I was debating this, all that stuff, and I was like, hey, I gotta go. And then he's like, okay, at the end of your shift, which is in 5 minutes, just turn in your badge and your gun. And so I did all that, and then I went back to school. I went back to community college. The same Fresno Community College.
Yeah.
And I started from the bottom of the bottom, man, like ESL, math, everything. I started all the way at the bottom. So you know what? I'm going to commit myself. All the class that I failed, I'll retake everything, because like I this is who I am. I'm going to school, But I still don't know what to do. I still didn't know what to do. I changed my major like 5 or 6 times. Yeah. So I want should I want to go to music? Or should I go to biology? Should I go to this and that? And I was like, you know what? I just gonna stick to biology now, because I'm pretty sure the counselor is tired of seeing me 6 times a week. Yeah. So I said, I'm gonna stick to biology, but I don't know what to do with biology. So I'm just gonna wing it.
Yeah.
So I took all my lower tier class, and then I finally got into just intro biology, and that's when I met my professor, Mr. Dowers.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mr. Dowers, he used to be a field biologist. He used to do all these surveys of reptiles and all that stuff before he became a teacher. And I was like, there we go. I want to do that.
Yeah.
That's like an open door for me. Like, I didn't know what to do with biology, but there is a job out there for surveying and monitoring animals. So that's what I want to do. But how, though, right?
Yeah.
So I was very quiet But I talked to Mr. Dallas and stuff like that, and then he's like, "Hey, Chamong, you know, next semester you should come to field biology, and I'll introduce you to Mr. Olsen." Right? I said, "Okay." So spring came in, and then I went to field biology, and I met Mr. Olsen, and then he used to be an ornithologist.
Okay.
And then he and we just bonded. And Mr. Dallas too. Us three, we just bonded, and they both mentor me. And I'm so blessed to have Mr. Olsen and Mr. Dallas in my life.
Uh-huh.
They're the ones that change me and made me appreciate wildlife even more now. Like, they opened my eyes. They were just like urban ecology, where they teach you everything, you know, plants, bees, and snakes, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then we walked and we talked. And then we're just talking and then stuff like that. He's like, "Man, Chamong, you know, like, I was just like you when I was your age. So passionate, just want to learn more, curious. You know, every time when I'm in the car, I'm always listening to bird sounds. Like, he heard me doing that. When I was driving, and I just, I was in the parking lot. He walked in, and he's like, "What do you listen to?" "Oh, bird sounds, because I want to learn more."
Yeah. And
then he heard that, and he was so like happy. And he's like, "When I see you, Chamong, I see me, because I was just like you." And that sparked. Like, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this now. Yeah, because of Mr. Olsen pushed me so much, and for someone to mentor me like this and to like encourage me to continue in wildlife, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And then he hooked me up with jobs, and I started working with the Department of Fish and Wildlife, and I started working with burrowing owls. So I was just very blessed to have them in my life, and now here I am. Yeah. So when I left my security job, and I told everyone, like, they're like, "Oh my God, you left your job," and all that stuff. Like, "You're too old to go back to school," and all that stuff. And then I was like, well, I'm just gonna push myself now, because I really want to do it.
Yeah.
So, and then my parents saw that, oh shoot, like, he is like pretty good now. Like, life, so, okay.
Everyone chills out a little bit once they see you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But it is scary to jump into the unknown.
It's
funny that you were working in security, because like metaphorically, like, that's what like a job is security, and like going and taking a risk and studying school and like investing in yourself and jumping into the unknown. That is the opposite. That's like unknown, scary thing. So you were leaving security, both literally and metaphorically, to jump into a new world. That's cool.
So until this day, Ben, Mr. Olsen, Mr. Dallas, and I, we still connect.
That's awesome.
We still talk. We still text each other. I still send them photos. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about photography. What's your story with the camera? How did you start getting interested in photography? And what are you looking for now? So
when I go back to field biology, when I took field biology, and then we go on every Wednesday we go on a field trip.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, and then Mr. Olsen and Style would teach us everything, right? Like, this is bird, this is what type of bird, plants, and all that stuff. And I was like, dang, like, I'm learning so much stuff, right? But I just can't keep it for myself. Yeah. And I want to like share it to the world, like what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing, you know. So that's why I invested into photography. Yeah. And then I self-taught myself how to, like, you know, do lighting, do editing, all that stuff. Because when I watched YouTube and they talk about all this, I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. Right. So I just did it myself. So that's how I got into photography. And then one day we went to Monterey Bay for a field trip, and Mr. Olsen's like, whoever see a California condor flying around, and then you guys will pass the class or something like that, right? And I was like, okay. And then during that time, I didn't know what a condor is, right? And then we were looking, all that stuff, like, what? Like, this, like, I was like, is that a condor? No, that's a different bird, all that stuff. And after the trip, I came home, I did a little research about condors. And I was like, whoa, these guys are massive. And also, in the back of my mind, I want Mr. Olsen and Mr. Dow to be proud of me, that I'm going to get this picture for them. Yeah. So I went and bought the big lens that I have now. And I went to Pinnacle National Park, because that's where they hang out. Okay. And I went to Pinnacle National Park, and I took it took me almost 8 hours to find one.
Wow.
Yeah, so I hiked the whole, the whole trail, and it was like, I got there like, I left at 7 in the morning. I got there like around like 10, and I didn't get a picture until like 5 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah. I got a condor, it was just sitting right there. I got a picture of it, and I got home, and I sent it to Mr. Dowes and Mr. Olsen. They're like, oh my gosh, you found it, and all that stuff. Yeah, I was like, yes, I did. Like, but the number one thing that I just want you guys to be proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I actually found a condor.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got into photography. That's how I got into like the big lens and all that stuff.
And how has the camera changed what you see, what you're looking for, and like how you move through nature?
Yeah. So like I said before, like so I only got into birds with the big camera.
Yeah.
And I was like, what about the small little things? Yeah. What about the insects and stuff like that?
Yeah, you started with the biggest bird of them all, and then.
And I was like, there's so many wildlife here, and I wanted to like just capture them all, right? So I want to invest like the macro lens, and the small lens I have now. And that's how like I got into macro lens, and I got into insects and stuff like that. And I just appreciate life even more now. Like, everything I see now is like, whoa, like we're in such a like big world.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. Like, whoa.
It is amazing.
Yeah. When I came to Milwaukee and I took a whole bunch of pictures of the birds, right? And then my friends here, they're like, that thing lives in Wisconsin and all that stuff. It's like, I didn't know that. And I've been living my whole life here, and I didn't know that there's a blue indigo or there's like a hummingbird or something like that. I mean, they know a hummingbird, but they didn't know what type. Or which kind. So I was like, So
yeah, that's here.
Yeah.
That's cool. So it works. It works both ways. Because I was going to ask you about like what animals are here that are new to you.
Oh yeah.
And which of them you found interesting, and not just animals, but like what. This river probably looks different than what, the rivers in California look like.
And like, so like the birds, like the indigo bunting, the yellow warbler. I think they have yellow warbler in California. I don't remember. Oh, the gray catbird. Yeah, and there's a lot more American robins here, and then in Cali, and over there we have a lot of mockingbirds. Here it's so rare, and like when I go birding with like the birding group, they're like, oh man, we want to see a mockingbird so bad. It's like, but they're all over the place. Like, it's not interesting.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's how I feel too.
Yeah.
So blue jays and the plants here are so different. Like, I'm still learning.
So did you, when you came to school in Milwaukee, did you know the Urban Ecology Center existed here?
Nope.
Okay.
One of my friends in Madison, she was the one to introduce me to this job. And she's like, hey, like with your experience, you should apply for the research intern here. And okay, and I applied, and then Maggie called me, and then I got an interview. So I think to Zoe, she's my friend in Madison, so yeah, I got the job.
Thank you, Zoe.
Yeah.
Before knowing that this place existed, where were you going around Milwaukee to like look for, like take pictures and stuff and like explore what kind of natural spaces?
So I went to Brown Deer, I went to Havens Woods, Mequon.
Yeah.
I went to Horicon, and I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. Because during that time when I came, it was still snowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to Lakefront too.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was
That's
looking.
pretty.
Yeah, I was looking for the snowy owl. Yeah, you guys have snowy owls here during winter, and I went and like looked all over the place for snowy owl, but I didn't get it. But hopefully this year.
This year.
Yeah. So
it was isolating and social distancing.
Yeah.
So maybe this year it'll be out.
Yeah, for sure.
So since you started with the UEC this summer, what new things are you learning, and what are you hoping to learn with the rest of your time here, and how has this place kind of changed your perspective of the city?
Oh man, like when I applied for this job, then I thought that was just like another job. I've been working my whole life.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that was a job.
Yeah, so it's just another job. I'm just gonna, wing it through. Just need the money for the summer.
Yeah.
But when I got here, man, and how the employees treat their interns or their employees. Like, wow, like you guys treat everybody like family here. It's so awesome because that's how I felt when I was in field biology. All my classmates and my teachers were just family. Maggie, Ethan, Tim, you, Ben, like, man, you guys are just awesome, you know. And I want to learn more too, like all these new plants and animals here. Man, I feel like I'm such a noob when I got here, when I got hired. I was like, dang, like I don't know anything anymore. I was like, oh, what kind of bird is that? Like I was like, I don't know anymore. Like, that's a different sound, you know. And all these plants that I don't know anymore. So I was like, okay, teach me. Like, Tim, please teach me. Maggie, teach me. Ethan, teach me. You know. Yeah, these bumblebees, I don't even know them anymore. Yeah. And I feel like oh man, just a novice I'm starting all over again. But if you come to California, oh, that's a different story.
Now Chamong's the teacher.
Yeah, but here I was like, okay, I'm learning and stuff like that. So, I give huge thanks to urban ecology for teaching their interns and the kids here and the employees that they'll love. I just like how they're so passionate when they're teaching what they love. Yeah. Everyone has their
passion.
Yeah, their passion. Jeff and Michaela, they're into like plants, and Maggie's into dragonflies. Yeah. And Ethan's into bumblebees and stuff like that. So I was like, whoa, like I'm learning. Every time when I go with someone, like I learn new things, you know? Yeah. Like this is crazy.
Are you guys coming here for lunch or something? I don't know.
You want to move on, dude?
Yeah, we could find it different.
Okay. You want to stay at the river over there?
Sure.
Okay. The little kids from summer camp invaded our quaint riverside chat for lunchtime. So Chamong and I packed up and meandered over to a different spot on the river. We kept talking, and as the river flowed by, we drifted into a different part of Chamong's story, his family history. That's another element of his connection to Milwaukee, one that he's just beginning to weave together. Chamong's family is Hmong, and as you may know, there's a really large community here in Milwaukee and the rest of Wisconsin. Third largest in the country, actually, behind Minnesota and California. The Hmong people are indigenous to what we would now call the southwest part of China, but over the centuries, many were forced to migrate to Laos, Thailand, and other neighboring countries in search of freedom. Their history is long, and their connection to the United States is complicated. As indigenous people, they've had to leave their homes many times and find new places to call home. And they've forged new relationships to the land as they moved, carrying seeds of their past with them. Many came to Wisconsin as refugees after the Vietnam War, through the State Department and religious institutions. Chamong's connection to his Hmong heritage is very integral to this story. It's his story, after all. And it's also worth another story on its own. But our conversation was a bit rambly, and I definitely am not well versed in the history of Hmong people here in Milwaukee. I don't want to tell their story, but I recognize that engaging the Hmong community here in the city is part of the work of the Urban Ecology Center. I know there are people at the UEC thinking about this, and hopefully we can continue and take steps in this direction, because the Hmong people are a part of Milwaukee's story. And that's important to recognize as we all work on getting back to our roots and connecting with our own stories and listening to each other's and the stories of the land. We all come from somewhere, and it's important to work on healing our disconnection. On that note, we can take a hint from Chamong and remember our way forward, recalling and heeding those childish instincts and interests in life in all of its creation. Thank you for listening to Chamong's story, and thank you, Chamong, for sharing.